Hello, folks. It's a small audience, and first thing I'd like to call the meeting of the Monday, August 16th, 2021, Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board to order. And I want to announce right up front that unfortunately we have some system problems in the building and there is no water. So we don't have access to bathrooms. And fortunately, we have a short agenda. So I'm encouraging you to please not drink, and we'll get out of here as soon as we can. We have a posted meeting agenda, and we do have a request from the zoning administrator that we'd like to take up at the end of the meeting. So we'll add that to the agenda at the very end. I believe you have received the meeting notes from Jim. Any questions about those? Could I have a motion to accept them as submitted?
So moved.
Motion from Michael, second from Kathy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. We have received the draft August 2nd minutes. Have you all had a chance to look at those? Are there any corrections, additions, amendments? I believe someone said earlier Gretchen never makes mistakes, so could I have a motion to accept them as submitted? So moved by Kathy, second Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I don't have anything new in terms of correspondence and announcements. Is there anybody else who does? Hearing none, maybe Michael, what we'll do now is seeing we're a few minutes. Can we now start with new applications at any moment?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, well then let's do that. We have one new application to take up this evening. That is the Memorial Lutheran Church, 1232 Route 308. This is an application for site plan and special use permit for a nursery school. And I'm not going to read off the tax map parcel, but we would welcome you to present your application to us and let us know what you'd like to do. Okay, we're deciding who's going to make the presentation. Just, we have everything up here, and if you would like to explain what it is you're proposing, could you introduce yourself and tell us who you're representing?
Representing the Memorial Lutheran Church at Rhinebeck, New York. And we have a parish hall, which we're looking to have an entry of Astor School.
It's a Head Start program, I understand.
Head Start program. And we're looking to bring that in. And there's going to be 18 students at the maximum. As far as the start would be probably a lower number. And the area that we're looking at over there is proposed. We have a mark of 20 by 20, but that would extend further as needed. Reason being, give the kids a lot more area to play in. And then there'll be playground equipment placed in. And there would be a wrought iron black fencing would go around with two entrances that would be placed for going in case of emergency, getting out real quick.
Michael, I know you've reviewed this in the capacity of interim zoning administrator. You might want to give a little information about why this is an allowed use here.
Sure. Basically, I was able to discover with the help of the assessor's office that this property is listed as used as both a church and a school, which are both uses. So therefore, it's already approved as a school. So the 5-acre requirement for nursery schools for a new facility would not apply in this case. The program is a Head Start program for 3 to 5-year-olds, which was up at the, I think the Mill Road School in Red Hook. And they've decided Red Hook they want to expand their pre-K program. Therefore, they had to ask the Head Start program, ask her to remove their program from their school. And the Memorial Church has this parish hall, which fits very nicely with the requirements for this particular program. And it seemed that there were no issues with this whatsoever once we were able to discern that basically the building is already listed as a school. So basically we're looking for special use permit and site plan to move it in there. The only external change is going to be the addition of the playground towards the rear of the building. And as you can sort of see in the upper right-hand corner, that's where the parking lot is for this property. So unlike the other situation we had some concerns about safety of kids. It would be very difficult for a car to get back here to do any damage. So we looked over it. I didn't see any problems with it from the zoning standpoint, and I think it's really quite laudable that they're able to help out with this program. You know, that can start some important program. We know that a lot of these kids have been locked up in homes for 18 months, and it's time they need to get out and get back together. So I'm delighted that the Lutheran Church is willing to offer this facility to them. And as I said, I don't see any zoning issues with this whatsoever.
It's a very private area back there, and a lot of this, it's just laying in wait for something like this to happen to it. And the community, we're always looking for better ways to serve the community, and this is one of them that we're really excited about it and trying to make a move forward. This is not my venue of standing up there like this.
Sure, you're doing a great job. A couple of things to note. We did have a pre-conference meeting this afternoon, and it was, as you expressed, indicated to us by the gentleman from the Esther home. Is that where he was from?
Yes.
That the playground itself will be 60 by 60. And so this needs to be changed. And we did today ask for an engineered drawing, which will be submitted to us prior to the public hearing in, was it the 7th of September? No, 20th September. So we're waiting for an engineered drawing, but you kind of get the sense of what this is all about. So are there any questions from members of the planning board? No. All right, so we have a draft resolution before us, which I think has been posted, which means I don't have to read it. I think the only thing to call attention to is while the church is not itself listed in the comprehensive plan as historic, parcel access lists as being built in 1868. Is that correct? And because of this information, we're going to include a referral to HPAC. However, since the use is contained within an existing structure, I think you can expect an expedited review from HPAC. So this is simply a review. They're going to sign off and get back to us. Do I need to schedule a public hearing? So the schedule of public hearing is September 20th at 6:45. And can I have a couple of volunteers to make a site visit there?
I'll go.
All right, Michael. And someone to go with Michael? I'll go. Want to go, Joe? Okay, and Joe. All right, could I have a motion to accept the application?
So moved.
Second? So moved by Michael, second by Kathy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right, we'll just look forward to getting that last piece of information from
Okay.
you. And, you know, maybe you've got somebody in the church that is a licensed engineer, architect, land surveyor that can help you out.
Okay. Thank you
So
very much.
stay in touch and let us know what else you need.
Thank you. Take consideration.
Okay, take care. Okay, we have 5 minutes before 6:45. So Michael, maybe I would entertain you making your presentation about your request.
Yes. We have an application before us for a roof repair, actually a replacement of the roof, some soffit and fascia work on a house on Rhinebeck Road, 18 Rhinebeck Road. It's within the Rhinebeck Overlay District, which requires site plan and special use permit for any land development procedures, things like that. Except we have added to the law that if whatever is being proposed is basically routine maintenance, repair, replacement in kind, things of that sort, we don't require the special use permit and site plan, just a building permit. My feeling was, since the building was built in 1860 and the building next to it is actually on the National Register, it would probably be good to have APAC take a look at it. It's just, we do a drive-by, whatever, to determine whether or not they feel there's any reason for a more detailed review, special use permit, site plan, or can it be considered simple maintenance, repair, replacement in kind. And based upon their recommendation, I can then make a recommendation to the planning department for the building permit. So that's it.
And is there an address and an indication?
It's
of what it is?
318 Rhinecliff Road.
Yeah. And it's just a roof and,
It's to replace the roof, it's to replace some of the soffit and fascia material, and they want to also do a little work to try and dress up the chimney.
Do you have a formal
I
application?
do, yes.
Maybe we could forward that to
Yeah,
Kathy,
we'll
so
get that
that,
right, Kathy.
thank you.
so could I entertain a motion to refer this application to HAPAC?
So
I'll move it.
You want, Michael moves, Kathy second,
There you go.
all those in favor?
uh,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thanks. All right, well, I think we can wait a few more minutes. There's nothing really else we need to bring up.
I can make a quick announcement about from the county.
Okay.
County transportation plan.
All right,
Since we have a couple minutes to go here, I just thought I'd let everyone know the Dutchess County long-range transportation plan was completed. It's called Moving Dutchess Forward. It's the long-range transportation plan, serves as a strategic guiding document for improving transportation in the county over the next 25 years. It's an all-digital document. It's online. You can find it by going to Dutchess County's website. But that is kind of what will help guide funding moving forward, where they allocate dollars, how things may change moving forward as it relates to transit, bike ped, and other transportation infrastructure investments. So just thought I'd let everyone know that. You can review it. They are still taking comments through July. Oh, that's last month. Never mind. They were taking comments through July 16th. But you can take a look at the plan online if you want to see how it may impact or affect what we do up here in Northern Dutchess. That's all I have to stall for time.
that's all you have to stall for time. Guess we'll just wait.
Too efficient. Now I'm being too efficient.
I know. I got that.
I've got 1 minute by my computer.
We'll go with your computer because that's what's timing us. Just tell me when I'm good to go. Is that possible?
Yeah. I managed it.
I don't think it is.
Let's just go.
Okay. All right, I think we're close enough. So I'm going to begin the public hearing part of this afternoon or this evening's meeting. First up is Michelle Moyer, 30 Hiley Road, site plan and special use permit, ground mounted solar. For those of you who are interested in this application, you may recall that we got to the point where we were asking for the applicant to determine whether or not to use the services of George Janes, a visual analyst who is going to help us assess the impact of the solar panels on the neighbors. As of this meeting, we have not received any information from Ms. Moyer as to what their determination is regarding Mr. James' services. And so, is there anyone here this evening, because it is a public hearing, that wishes to speak on this application? All right, so there's no more public comment, and at this point, I think we are at the point in time where we would like to continue the public hearing, but continue it to an undetermined date and time, rather than to just keep rolling it month after month without any response from the applicant. This will require them, when we do decide to reschedule, to republish. Is that correct, Gretchen? So they're going to have to re-notify and republish when they come back to us telling us that they wish to get back on our calendar. But I think this is the third meeting that we haven't really had a response. So unless any of you have any objections or any other ideas, it would be my recommendation that we continue to an undetermined date and time, and I would entertain such a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Kathy,
Second, Sean.
second Sean. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Next up, Hannah Barrett. Sir,
Yep.
is that you, Jordan?
Thought he was stepping up to the mic.
Ah.
I was wrong. Hello,
Good evening.
good evening. Shall I introduce the latest?
Well, let me just say that for the public, this is an application from Hannah Barrett, 317 Mill Road, site plan and special use permit for a proposed shed.
Yes. They were going to have a work sink in there, the, home artist studio workshop type of space that building would lend itself to. We presented plans to the Department of Health where we showed the connection, proposed connection. When they got the comments back from the Department of Health for all the requirements for their pre-existing system that this would connect to, they decided to remove the sink from the workshop. So there's no longer any plumbing proposed in there. So it's the same application in terms of the size of the shed, the location of the shed, but now there's no plumbing.
Okay. Did we know that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to go through your comments, if there's anything important
I
to
don't
share?
really have it. You got all the variances, right? You got
Right.
the front variant, the front yard variance now, so you have all the variances that are required. I think my biggest question is really related to DOH review and then just any plans for a walkway, if there was going to be anything between that and the existing house.
They actually said no.
Okay.
So, do we have revised plans?
You should.
I believe this is the revised plan from.
So this is the revised plan that shows no plumbing.
Six plan.
Let's see, yeah, that should be, is there another sheet? Runs in a little bit, or is that, oh, that's it. Yeah, that is the revised plan. Okay, go right back. Right, so that used to say, that used to have a proposed connection to water and septic, and so now it looks frightfully simple. It's just a proposed structure, yeah.
Questions from the planning board?
Still have electricity in there for heat, is it gonna be heated?
It's, yeah, air source heat pump, presumably heated and cooled, yeah.
So with the removal of any water in the building, that removes the need to have any approvals from the health department?
Shouldn't need any, no.
No, so I don't see a reason to not take action on this application this evening. Does anyone else? Everybody okay? So, I have a draft approval resolution, which for your benefit, I will not read. Simply to say that we reaffirm the proposed action as a type 2. We find the proposed work is consistent with the objectives and regulations of chapter 125. We find it consistent with general standards. finds the proposed work and intended use to be consistent with Town Code Chapter 125 and the other sections listed in the resolution. We authorize the planning board chair to stamp and sign. Taking this action, the planning board authorizes the town CEO to issue any required permits. So I would entertain a motion to accept the draft approval resolution as posted. Moved by Kathy, second.
Second, Sean.
Second, Sean. All those, I'll pull the board. Joe?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Okay,
Thanks
Thank
and
you.
good luck.
thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, Catherine Whitman, 16 Old Coast Road, site plan review, proposed single-family dwelling. Good evening, Catherine.
Hi, everyone.
Now, I have a note that you have asked for continuation, is that correct?
Continuation of the public hearing.
No?
That's if it is to be continued.
Oh, if it is to be continued. Okay, I misread my notes. Go ahead.
Okay, so, we went over pretty much everything last time about, the single-family residence. It's in the same footprint with a few small additions as the previous building, but it's 2 stories over the whole thing. Whereas before it was a 1-story building. So this is the 3D view. Elevations, and then based on the recommendation from the CBA, they asked that we propose a fence between the property and the neighboring property. So we proposed a fence
Okay, fine.
there with horn beam planted along it to get more height than the 6 feet to give them more privacy, which was the request from the neighbor. And this is the type of fence. And then this is showing the horn beam that would go over the top. And then the last thing is the existing garage. We wanted to do repairs on the siding, put a new roof and a new garage door. So I submitted this to everyone a few weeks ago, showing just a simple garage door. It's this style with the windows on top and the panels in matte black. If you want to take a closer look, it's this. And the other element was the septic. It has a 1,000-gallon tank currently, which we are going to keep, but the Board of Health has asked for tests, percolation tests. So we're in the process of that. We don't have that completed.
Okay, so that's why you were anticipating a continuation?
Yeah, if there's any reason to.
So we still have yet to hear from the Board of Health.
Yes, but it's expected that anything that they would need, we could accommodate. Because it's going to be a repair.
Okay. Was the site visit done?
Yes, I did the site visit with Elise. Overall, to kind of echo a lot of what she said, they are really, on the garage, we did ask for her to submit some of the information like the garage door just to hopefully speed things up, or at least get things approved faster for them. They are proposing the house to be exactly where it is. They're slightly There is a big tree on the property that they'd love to keep. It is kind of leaning towards the house. So I don't think the tree's gonna be able to stay. As a whole, it is split. It does have some damage to it also. It's a huge maple that kind of comes up and splits right at the house, which is, but the overall property, it'll be nice eventually when it's done. But I would say that the screening and a lot of the things that they've taken into consideration are to make the neighbors happy, because it is a really small lot with the village and almost has a village feel, but it's in the town, so it creates some challenges on space. But
Jim?
So we've got all of the variances we need, right? Those have all been granted by the ZBA. My main concern or question really, related to the first one, Michael, are we getting a fence permit for this now? Fence along the side property line? I believe.
As the building, that would be a question downstairs, whether that would be folded into the building permit for the building itself, or would there be a separate permit just for the fence based on the linear footage, which is probably what's going to happen.
Right, that was my
I
thought.
did submit that already.
We did a fence permit? Okay. So that was the one question I had, and then really it was just the existing DOH issues, outstanding issues of getting approval from the Department of Health.
What prompted the Department of Health to want drug tests, speed tests done?
Because it was a 2-bedroom house and it would be a 3.
Okay, so actually you have an expanded septic system over what it was then, I'm assuming. So that's,
So the system is
No.
expanding, or they're just doing a test to confirm that
no, the
what's
system,
there?
it's going from 2 to 3 bedrooms.
Right.
The system has to be expanded.
The test, in my understanding, we needed to start with the test to find out what needs to be done, but the tank is already the right size. It's more the leach field that may have to be expanded.
Right.
But, I think as a plan, if the leach field might have to be expanded, my recommendation would be we wait because that's a site plan change, a change on the plans, because that would have to be on the submitted plans that got stamped and signed.
Would also require 100% replacement field as well.
Right.
Under current DOH regulations.
Did they give you any indication of when they're scheduling this?
No, I have to schedule it and submit the test to them. I have to have an excavator out.
And so have you scheduled the testing?
No, I'm working with Tom Cummings as the civil engineer, and he wasn't available, but his schedule should be opening up, because he has to observe the perk test.
Well, it sounds like we're going to need to continue the public hearing.
It's a fairly significant requirement that they're doing on a fairly small piece of property, so it may require modification of your plans depending on what they come up with. So yeah, I would suggest that.
You want to make that motion?
Can I ask for one more thing though? Since we wanted to get started just repairing the garage, and Michael required that we show the door, so can we at least move forward with that?
If you're just repairing the garage, then you can do repairs like a roof, things of that sort.
Can they replace the door?
What do the doors look like now?
There is no door now, and we're leaving the opening the same and just proposing a simple.
There's just no physical
There's no
door
door
left. because
Well,
it's
can I
blocked.
suggest that, Michael seems to feel that working through the building department and the zoning administrator's position, he could make a determination on what repairs you can make to an existing building. So why don't we let you and he and Ed Maddock work that out in terms of what immediate repairs you can make to allow you to advance the work on the garage. However, understanding that the approval of your application regarding the house and all the other site plan issues is going to be continued till September 20th at 6:45.
Okay.
Does that work? Does that work for everybody here? Does that seem like a fair way to move forward? So Catherine, you can deal directly with Michael on anything related to the garage in terms of repairs to an existing structure.
Mhm.
And the rest will be continued pending your perk tests and input from the health department until the 20th. Could I have a motion to that effect?
Second, Joe.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Michael Chambers, 59 Valley Way Road, site plan and special use permit, home renovations additions. Good evening, Kyle.
Good evening, board.
How are you?
Tonight. So I'm here tonight along with Ernie Martin. Ernie Martin is an engineer, so he'll also be speaking on behalf of the chambers and answering any questions that you may have regarding this project.
Go ahead.
We're looking to start off.
Start with your description. Tell us all about your project.
So very good. All right, so that's nice. So basically what we're looking to do, we discussed this briefly last month, but we're looking to, as you look on the right side of that building plan there, I think that's the correct one, yes. So downstairs, there's a porch currently. I think that's the existing. So if you go up a little bit there or down a little, Jen, I think that's our current plan. There you are, right there, it's good. So on the right side there, down on the very bottom, you'll see that's a covered porch that's going to be turned into an extension of the library that's there. About middle of the drawing there, we see those 4 squares of the skylights. That'll be a dining room. Presently, it's a patio, so that'll be enclosed. And then the kitchen area really just expands just a little bit. Oh, awesome.
That little red slash. Thank you. That's a lot easier.
So, yeah, so this is the library here, this is the dining area, and then the kitchen. So really, presently the kitchen, it just extends a little bit here, and then it comes out this way a little bit. The total increased surface space is about 95 square feet is the additional footprint of the house. Now, obviously, what's also happening here is above the kitchen is where we're putting the ensuite, the guest bedroom, bathroom on the 2nd floor. So basically, and then over here, I think the retaining wall kind of it's more over here. So we're bumping that retaining wall out a little bit. So that's sort of the majority of the project. What we'd also like to do is move the mechanicals into this area here, just to clean things up in the basement area. I know that I think I met with Mark from the CAB, and I think you probably already have his report. I'm sure you had a chance to.
Can I see it? I don't remember seeing it. Yeah, well,
Okay,
however,
yeah.
we will get it.
Yes, you will. So this met with the CAB and met with the planning board members as well.
So Joe and I made the site visit on a very hot day,
Yes, it was.
and it's an exquisitely lovely property. You go, if you had no idea where you were, you wouldn't believe you were in Rhinecliff. You go down a very long driveway and get to this dead-end cul-de-sac property. Lovely, sweet little house, great landscaping. We talked about a lot of things. We had a very extensive site visit there. What I hadn't appreciated before we went is that the part of the house to the right is really the part of the house that's the front of the house, essentially. And that, what do we think? It was 1860-ish, something like that?
Yeah, parcel access puts it in the 40s, 50s, somewhere around there.
Somewhere mid-19th century, and retains quite a high level of architectural significance in the way it presents itself. We did look at some of the proposed changes to the building, and you were going to talk to the owners about keeping some of those architectural elements consistent around the exterior. I guess the part of the project that's the most interesting and the most has the most concerns associated with it is the back, which slopes down quite quickly to and we did receive the report on was that from, who was that from, the environmental report?
Mike Nowicki?
Mike Nowicki. We all received a copy of Nowicki's report delineating the wetlands and the stream there. And it was staked out. It was easy for us to see where it was. It is right there. We talked a lot about the protection of the resource during construction. It was very constrained. Kyle knows he's going to have trouble getting things in and out and working in there. We talked about silt fencing, and at the time, which is probably why your colleague is here, we talked about the engineering we would need in order to review more fully this application in terms of protection of that resource. Joe, what would you like to add?
I was going to say, in addition, the addition was modernizing this home and is a little bit of a concern, but some of the suggestions that Melanie made about bringing some of the architecture elements from some of the eaves and around the windows in, we're hoping that you take that into consideration. Also was pleasantly, I was happy to hear that the retaining wall, you're going to try to reuse some of the material, even though you're moving it. But yes, there is concern that is a really steep runoff from the house down to the creek. So taking that into consideration when moving materials or any sort of equipment. I know the thought is to do it between the house and the garage, because any other way would just disrupt the land there. So
Far too much.
but I mean, the addition and renovations make total sense because it's going to make it a much more usable space for the family with a dining room, kitchen, raise the roof of the kitchen, which is very low. It has a very low sloped roof that I assume has some sort of leaking problem.
It's one of those houses where you can see there's been an addition here and an addition there, and the roofs are all going in a million directions. And we did talk about the owners are, there is a large tree there. We joked a lot, there's quite a few, as you would expect in the area that's as wet as this is, there are a number of willows and things they're working hard to try and protect, including some, what we would perhaps determine to be invasive growths on porches and other things that Kyle is also working on the owners to try and figure out a way to support their concerns about keeping everything natural at the same time as protecting the new addition. So it's a quite modern addition off the back, but we were trying to find ways to soften that and keep it more in context with the original house. So if you would like to present, give us an update on maybe the engineering aspects.
Yes, I'd just like to add that there is a federal wetlands that is in the back of the property. As it was mentioned earlier, it was delineated, it was located by the surveyor, and I'm not sure if it's not on this plan, was it?
It was a separate PDF that I sent Jim. It should be site plan, wetland delineation should be the title of it.
But to that end, we will develop a soil erosion control plan, and because there's a little increase in impervious, we'll probably have like a little water quality basin or rain garden or something like that. I have a concept here that I'll just kind of show you. This is just a sketch. We would have details more. So if you look there, the green would be where the silt fence would be. Typically what we try to do is run with the contour, don't go against the contour. So we would have a silt fence for any disturbance that's going on in the back, plus any incoming, outgoing vehicles. That's always going to kind of churn up lawns and things like that. And then I show a little blue spot there.
Yeah.
That's probably maybe like a little water quality area or a rain garden or something like that. And we haven't figured that out yet, but maybe we'll divert the gutters to that area or something like that.
Certainly, we like to see naturalized, stormwater detention, retention, if possible, depending on the engineering, what you have to work with.
And it's a backyard that goes to a wetland, so obviously we don't want a big hole in the ground. We want to maybe have like a little divot in the backyard. That's really all we really need.
Yeah, there isn't really, although there's going to be, well, I don't know. There's certainly, you aren't really increasing the footprint of the house in any great extent, as I recall.
It would just be adding really where the patio is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just the patio, and so, it might be useful for us to know what you think the increase is gonna be, but I would say from being on the site visit, it doesn't appear to be much of a change. So then we're awaiting information from you. You are working with your owners, applicants to revise the plans that we worked with in the field.
Yeah, we talked about in particular the gable detail that you picked up on. I talked to the architect about that, and she was in agreement that we would do that. I also spoke with her about the lighting, so there are no major plans for like landscape lighting, but I thought that you're gonna wanna see exterior lighting.
Well, we must see exterior lighting, and
yeah.
because you're going to be using this new patio, and we did talk, there is a proposal for a patio, and we also wanted some specific, I guess, clearer information about how, what the protection is with the retaining wall above the patio itself, because as it's drawn and as you look at it, it would be really easy to walk off the edge of the patio, because I don't think we saw enough detail there in terms of what's protecting people from going
The
off.
3D modeling doesn't really
It does
give
not,
you a sense of elevation, so between Ernie and
Right.
the architect, Michelle, we'll work on
you know,
that
when you're
as
looking
well.
at it, the rendering, it looks quite wide, but when you're actually in the backyard and you realize how this patio is gonna be, it's not gonna be much bigger than this, so, we wanna make sure that that's done safely.
So we'll get you the lighting cuts and everything so that you'll be able to see the lights and where they're gonna be on the building. And then Ernie will take care of all the ways and
Right.
we'd like to get that to you guys as soon as possible so the town engineer can review it.
Well, we'd love to see it we must see it 2 weeks before. So if we continue to September 20th, does that give you enough time?
I think so.
So we would want to have everything back and turned around to us by September 6th or 7th?
7th, the 6th, we're not here. 'cause Labor
Okay,
Day.
so the 7th, does that work for you?
That's when it has to be submitted.
Has to be submitted, your revised application and all your engineering information. If it's to us by the 7th, then what we'll do tonight is continue it to the 20th. Does that give you enough
Meeting
time?
on the 20th.
It would be for the meeting on the 20th. And at that point, we would, we're going to continue the public hearing. If we get it on the 7th, then we can get Ray to take a quick look at it. We might be in a position to approve it on the 20th, assuming all the questions are answered.
We can get it sooner than we can get it correct.
Yeah, I'm gonna push on Ernie for that.
Submit that.
Well, and I don't see any reason why, if you expedite the engineering aspects of it, we can't get that to Ray and wait on the architecture. I don't think they have to be tied together, do they, Michael?
No, that's the last thing, so.
Yeah, so I'd work on the engineering, and the sooner we can get that to Ray, we'll get that off.
Were there any other issues that come to mind, questions that you all might have, concerns?
Those other members of the planning board that didn't get to do the site visit, was there anything you saw in the application you'd like more information on?
Kyle, you've been here before, the lighting is down lighting, dark sky compliant, all that.
Yeah, the inclination I got from the architect was, in her conversations, the owner really didn't want to do anything, but I know there's going to be exterior lights. I just don't want to run into any issues later. So we're gonna push on her to give us some real thoughts and get something.
Well, the whole goal of this project is to create an indoor-outdoor living space at the back of the house, and so
Exactly.
I wouldn't want to go in that backyard without lights to show me where I'm going. It's beautiful, but it's very remote, it's very dark. If you're trying to step down off that patio at night without lights, it would be dangerous.
Absolutely.
So, we'll have to see some lights there.
Yep.
Anything else, folks? Could I have a motion to continue the public hearing to September 20th at 6:45 p.m.?
So moved.
Second,
Second, Sean.
moved by Michael, second Sean. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much.
Thank you all, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
And now I am happy to say, last up tonight, I assume, I should have asked if you're here to comment on that prior application, but I assume since it was the gang of three, we knew why you were here. Next up is Ruby's 3718 Route 9G, site plan and special use permit, modification of an existing building, and a planned new building and additions. Who's up?
Hey, I'm gonna start.
Okay, welcome.
Hi, since there really isn't anybody here from the public, but we're not ready to, we're not done. I think Mark sent in a letter indicating what we had left to do and how we were gonna go about it. Our intention is to ask for an extension to the 18th of October, at which point we'll come back with that completed set of plans. And I'm sure there'll be discussions between Mark and his team and whatnot and the board between now and then. But in lieu of, there's nobody here from the public, we're happy to field any further questions that you folks might have. But outside of that, we're looking for an extension to, really wrap up all the drawings, all the detail elements of the drawings, signage, drainage, all of those type of things.
Jim?
I mean, I raised most of my comments before. We know HAPAC has commented they don't have any issues with phase one. Anything else, so no issues there. Lighting, I think we talked about this before. I don't remember seeing it on the plan. Are there plans for outdoor lighting?
Yeah, but it's not on the plan.
Coming.
We're going to RAB and they're gonna put together a lighting plan for us. Lighting plan, of course, will meet code 15 feet. It'll stay within the property, it won't spill out over.
Okay.
And probably along the drive will be motion detected lighting so that if people are coming, because, in the wintertime, it's dark at 5 o'clock, type of thing.
I think my only other comment was just related to the driveway width down toward the entrance. I think I noted it was a little wide. I think DOT maybe noted also it was a little wide. Is that correct or no?
Yeah, so it will, obviously for phase one, it's going to be the entrance that will also handle phase two, but it's going to be a DOT approved entrance.
Okay.
They've reviewed it and given us guidelines of what we have to do, and we have every intention of that'll be included in the final drawing package.
I guess the only other question I would have, and it's not technically a planning board issue, but just, we know there's an agreement, between Ruby's and the town regarding your operations now and kind of how they phase later. That we assume is moving forward. Again, it's not a planning board issue. I have made the planning board members aware of it and provided them with copies, but I'll present a quick summary of just what it is, just so you can explain it. I don't think the planning board's actually heard officially kind of what that is.
All right, so the agreement with the town, which was reached, a year ago, or finally, or whatever, documented a year ago, simply included us going to this site with Subaru and Chrysler. And upon doing so, making a few changes, we're not going to park on Chestnut Street anymore. We're going to leave a single, one of the lots at Chrysler is going to be all green, et cetera. Not a lot of different things, but we committed to those, and that is a binding agreement that's been filed. The problem with that is that we're not capable of doing a Subaru Chrysler combination at this time. And there's a lot of reasons for it. One big one is monetary. So we've come back and looked at this from a phase standpoint, repurposing the existing building, moving Subaru, meeting all the requirements of Subaru, and then when that's done, coming back and meeting all of the other requirements, turning lanes, and et cetera, to be able to bring Chrysler and potentially Ford over here. And so bifurcation of the agreement is what we've asked the town for. When we first approached the town back in April, they asked us to go talk to the planning board, talk to DOT, talk to SHPO, do all those other things and make sure that everybody's in good with it so that we don't go do this agreement and turn around and you can't do it anyway. So we've done that. We've done the whole thing with SHPO, we've done our whole thing with DOT and got their written agreement that doing it this way as possible. We've come here, you've accepted our application for a phased approach. So we've done all those things. We've now put it back into Warren's hands, and I have a standing meeting every Tuesday morning with the attorneys. I will get an update tomorrow, but the last I heard is the town said there should be no problem getting this completed by our drop dead date of September 20th. That's a kind of a deadline for us.
So the
as far
change
as
is really-
acquiring the property.
The change is really that the town, at the time you made the first agreement, understood that both dealerships would move at the same time, and now we're just breaking that apart.
We're just breaking that apart. At that point, none of the research had been done to understand what it took to get onto the campus.
Right. And did you get a sign off from SHPO on this second approach?
We didn't get a sign up, but we got from the consultants a complete package of what to expect to get that sign off. What we had to do, you know, what had to be done and where, and what they would have to do, meeting with the tribes, meeting with
That
SHPO,
would be
meeting with
part of
DEC. That was all in a package that they provided to us.
So that's phase two only. So so
Correct.
archaeology has only been done on phase one and phase two.
Yeah, we're not exceeding the
But
disturbed area.
they've signed off on phase one.
Excuse me?
Your phase one,
Yes.
yes, okay.
One of those SHPO's technically signed off on it, I think.
Well,
Well,
there's,
they've given
There's nothing to do, I mean, we're not exceeding the current disturbed area.
correct.
So there's, I guess whether they sign off or don't, I don't know how that technically works, but
I think you're good.
we are.
We did include all of the archaeology in the submission.
Yep.
I believe that everybody has those documents. It shows where the shovel testing had occurred on site, and that is also in some of the location out in front, just directly south of phase one, which is an area we will be doing rural development. So we have done it across phase one.
So, planning board members, do you have any questions of anyone here? Do you understand the phasing and why, I mean, although as Jim pointed out, you know, you're settling this with the town is something separate from the planning
Yes.
board, but just something that we need to be aware of in moving ourselves along, and, you know, why we can't get ahead of that.
well, actually, why we can't get ahead of that.
Well,
You're welcome to give this approval, but we won't be buying the property, so it doesn't matter. It's between us and the town.
let's not do that.
Yeah, that's.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sean and I did meet out there.
We did a
Okay.
site visit.
Sean, would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on fire tonight.
All right, Sean.
Yeah,
Step right
I
up.
think overall with working with, walking the property and looking at it, it's a really great reuse, especially regarding phase one. We'll stick to that tonight. It's pretty industrial back there. I don't know if anybody's really been back there, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's you know, it's hurting. And I think it's really important to know that a company like Ruiz is gonna bring it back, from what it was. So, I think it's a good reuse. I don't know what else would go back there other than some other large development, but, there, you know, I think on the entire impact of, it's like less than 6,000.
It's about 6,000 square feet, right? So about
Yeah.
our change from what exists now to what we're proposing for phase one.
6,000 square feet of what?
Hard surface, hard surface.
Yeah, it's like barely scratching the surface on a ton of acreage. So, I think it's really thoughtful. We spent probably 40 minutes there, walking around the property, taking a look at different things, really showing where they're gonna make a lot of changes. And the only other thing is, I have my notes here. And the other big thing I think is really important is, you know, there's talked about lighting and stuff like that. You can't really see anything from anywhere back there. They're really protected on all sides from, with acreage. So it's, I think all in all,
We will be
there's any
submitting
concerns
a-
about sound or light.
Yeah, I
anything like
mean,
that.
back to the town agreement, this dotted line is a 200-foot buffer around the entire property, so there's 200 feet from any road, from any usable area that's protected, it can't be used.
Well, I think your point's well taken. On the other hand, if you project ultimately the proposed build out, you know, and we're thinking of dark sky compliance, you know, too much lighting could create a glow. Maybe not direct lighting at you, but if you had a lot of lighting out there, you could begin to see something. So they know this, they're aware
It's
of
surrounded
that.
by a ton of mature trees, but to your point, yes. I mean, it's
But
anything
that's,
possible.
at least, we're only dealing with phase one here now, so.
And I also met with Joe from the CAB. I don't know if the CAB provided any comments. I I did share with Joe that there was more information that was going to be submitted to this board, and then I would, through Gretchen, make sure that the CAB got that information. So I think Joe is going to withhold any comments until
Okay,
we submitted that additional material. I shared that information.
anybody else? Questions, issues? So, I heard you say October 18th.
I think we did the math, I think we looked at the calendar, I think that was appropriate for 2 months out.
Yeah, Gretchen had originally thought maybe September 20th, but 2 months out takes it to.
We looked at that, but because you're gonna be in 2 weeks before, it really doesn't leave us much time.
All right, could I have a motion to continue the public hearing to October 18th?
So moved, Sean.
Sean, second?
Seven, Joe.
Second, Joe, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there any other business that needs to come before the planning board? Well, I would take a motion to adjourn. So moved, Kathy, second.
Second, Joe.
Sean, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions? Consider the meeting closed. Thank you all.
Okay, well, next year, we can probably be.